Hey, g'day people, it's Matt here from Matt Carve. So we are looking at how to carve details today in a small little sculpture like this little moon here. I'm just using this as an example and I made this yesterday. This wood is Jarrah. It is very dense and heavy, and which makes it actually perfect for carving details. It's hard to carve, so the bigger your carvings in harder wood, the harder it's going to be. But these small carvings are really nice when done in harder woods because you can really get these nice fine details. And these points here, there's no fear of those cracking off or anything like that. So I'm going to show you sort of how to get sort of like fine lines like this and this, and just sort of like put in areas like this and going deep in here, and how I do it. This is always how I do it because I can't really speak for other people. So this is how I do it, and I only use a Dremel 4000. No special tools required to get these fine details, and I'm going to show you how to use the burrs and all of that. So I've divided this up into chapters and we're going to go through those right now.
So with burr choice, with small carvings like this, I want to choose a burr that doesn't leave a lot of scratches, like this burr here. This is the fine sphere burr. Also, you kind of want to stay away from sort of like the Cutzel Extreme because they will leave massive scratches in your work. Just look at the points on that Cutzel Extreme compared to the sphere burr, and you can spend a lot of work trying to get those scratches out. Not to mention, it is actually quite dangerous doing these small carvings with a very aggressive burr in hard wood, as the burr tends to grab more in harder woods than in softer woods. And also your fingers are extremely close to the burr as well. And here is another burr that is actually really nice to carve details with. It is the Cutzel taper burr. I think this is the coarse one. I've also got the fine one, which I think I use off camera on this carving as well. It's just got a really nice point on the end. You can't get those real fine, really sharp edges with it, but it's great for doing those kind of rounded kind of things around the nose and all of that. And so the order I tend to carve in when I'm carving these details is I'll go from I guess it's pretty simple. It's going from sort of like large to smaller burrs. So I often go from those Cutzel kind of fine burrs or the coarse burrs to maybe some cutter burrs, and then maybe some diamond burrs, or those latest ones that I've got, those ones with the sort of round parts on the end. And pretty much that's kind of it. Or I do actually use drill bits as well to get into really tight places. Okay, so you might be used to sort of like using the flame burr on bigger carvings, and that is cool. You sort of like, with those bigger carvings, you're probably using the flame burr and maybe using the point on the end a little bit, but sort of like going quite heavy and sort of making big shapes with it. But when you go really small, you want to sort of like hone down your point of accuracy, I guess. Well, I'm not quite sure of the word to use here. Sort of like be aware of what is touching the wood. So you can sort of see I'm using just the edge of that burr to put in lines. And so those sort of like cutter burrs are really good for that. And if you want to sort of like, a lot of people sort of like say the cutter burrs sort of like dull really quickly. Well, the key to sort of making them last longer is actually only to use them maybe just to put in lines and do a little bit planing like I'm doing there. And sort of not sort of use them as real big sort of like wood removers. And I'm not going to go through all of the burrs. Let's say like on a burr like this, you can use sort of like the edge and the top of the burr. Sort of getting undercuts like I'm doing around this mustache is really good. And also you can sort of use it, the top of the burr, for sort of like flattening out areas, sort of like on the top of that eyelid, just sort of going on there. Okay, so it's quite hard to give sort of like rules for carving because every wood is different, but sort of generally like the harder the wood, the more it's going to burn. That's not always necessarily the case, but in this Jarrah it burns quite easily, so you can lower the speed of the burr and sort of go from there, so that won't heat up so much. And I'm just putting in a drill bit there, so I always sort of like go in extremely light with drill bits, and actually with other burrs as well. With that cutter burr before, I would go in very, very light, because with cutter burrs they do take out a lot at a time. So you can sort of like slow the speed down so it won't cut so fast, and also go very light. And I'll tend to do lots of little passes as opposed to trying to go deep in really quickly. And that way you can sort of like adjust the line as well. And when you're carving with these drill bits, this one is I think 1mm in diameter, you will really learn how to carve lightly, because if you don't, it will snap pretty easily. So just be aware of that, and you should always be wearing eye protection as well. And if you have found this video useful, if you could hit that like, that would be awesome. Now I've left links in the description, so you can follow those if you want, for cut saws and the other burrs that I have used. Some of them are affiliate links, some of them aren't. That one I'm using at the moment isn't. That is a diamond burr. I'm not sure why I'm practicing on my finger. To show you that it doesn't hurt, maybe. Anyway, don't do that with a Cuttle Extreme. And maybe if you opened your Dremel pack and you got some of this polishing compound, you can use it to polish really hard woods. Don't put a lot on because it could decolorize the wood, but because this wood is kind of similar in color to the polishing agent, it's probably going to make a difference. Probably not great on really light woods, but give it a go, see what happens. And just polish it up. We'll see what that turns out to be like. I'm actually going to put some dark oak finish on that. Oh, look at that. Nice and shiny.